it's very subjective. What's a good musician? I think it's up to the artist to stay true to themselves, to come up with original material that reflects their self-expression. To be able to be a good artist, you have to be able to express yourself. So I think they have to be able to have the capacity, the skills, the talent, the ability to express themselves. I'm a very harsh critic. I'm a harsh critic of myself. I'm probably a harsher critic than anybody I know. So I'm never like, oh, you're amazing and that was perfect. No. I think people have to work hard. You know, the younger kids are facing. It's a global pop culture nowadays, and I love venues like this where we give people young aspiring musicians a chance to shine in front of the media, give them encouragement. Perhaps I might be able to collaborate with them in the future, or we could have some kind of, at least today, have some kind of helpful encouragement or input that may change their lives in the future. It's not first, it's a continuing process. Rejection is something that every artist has to face, time after time. I always tell people who are starting off to expect rejection, to embrace rejection. When you get rejected, and it will happen to all of us, your songs will get rejected. You'll write a song for an artist and you'll say, this is the perfect song for you. You'll try to sell it and they won't like it at all. This happens all the time. You'll audition for a role that you wanted so bad, you wanted more than anything else, and you knew that role would be your big break, and you don't get it. Happens all the time. The most important thing for an artist is to be able to pick themselves back up and go to the next opportunity. I hope that I can inspire people through my music or through venues like this in any positive way. I feel like I have a lot of positive energy and I have a lot of things to be thankful for. And I love to encourage other people and see that positive energy become multiplied when it enters other people's lives. I love music so much that I think even if the winners of this competition don't end up becoming professional musicians, but I think it's always something that they'll feel as that they'll have with them for the rest of their lives. I remember when I was starting off as a violinist, there wasn't really any master plan for me to become a professional violinist, but I always knew that it could transport me to a special place that was so meaningful and so beautiful, and I can always go there, whether I eventually became, a scientist or whatever, that it would always be with me. So I think that music, when it's in your heart, then it stays with you, and it's something that you can nurture just like anything else, and you can let it grow and stay with you and enrich your life. I think the fear and excitement, when you're doing something for the first time, it's just the amount of educational value that comes out of that, I think, is so exciting to me. I could have gone to film school, but instead, maybe that would have been 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. But instead, I decided to direct a movie, which I didn't know how to do. And I almost died in the process, It was just so difficult. But because I was excited, I loved it, I was passionate, I was willing to work in freezing cold weather when I have a fever. I'm willing to not sleep. I'm willing to stay in the cheapest hotel that I can find. Just to for this education. And after having completed that film, I feel like the process of it was invaluable, was priceless. So that to me is is why I do these. I do this like contortionism to myself a lot of times, because I think that it's the way that I grow and it's the way I learn. I think they're related. You know, when you're scared and then you force yourself to do it, then you get this adrenaline rush. You know, it's like that fight or flight response. So you don't flee, you fight. You decide, I'm going to face this fear. Eventually, I don't know if there will ever be a day when you're not afraid of anything. I think that we're all afraid of everything. I mean, I think when I sit down to write a song or I release an album, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that people aren't going to get it, or it's not as good as I think it is. There's all kinds of fears that go through your head when you create, when you make a new product, when you launch a campaign. But it's the excitement of being able to face that fear and overcoming that fear and hopefully delivering something that is great and that does make a difference. And then you know you did it as a team. And that, for me, that is so worthwhile, and that's when you grow. I think it's to educate yourself. Because I'm a real proponent of education. But I think that you have to learn. You have to learn. I can't just tell you how to do something, or a director can't tell you how to act and just make you do it. You have to do it yourself. I mean, I can tell you how to play the guitar, but at the end of the day, the one who's playing guitar is you. So everybody learns in a different way, and I think that the most important thing for each young person is to understand themselves, understand the best way that they learn. Because there's an endless supply of information and educational opportunities on the internet now. So if you can access that, and if you know what you want, that's another thing that I think a lot of kids don't have these days. They don't really know what they want. So when you don't have that goal, if you don't have a target, then it's hard to focus. So one of the things that I like to tell young artists is, like, you're at the beginning of your GPS, you're at point A. And all you need to know is where you want to go. And once you can get that, once you can get your point B down, then it's easy to plan a path. You know, we have to go which way, turn right, turn left, and go up this hill. But if you don't know where your point B is, then I can't help you. So I think that's my bit of advice. It's all important. Classical, jazz, contemporary, R&B, hip-hop, techno, house. I think just learn as much as you can. Even if you're going to say, like, I'm going to be the techno guy, so I don't need to know classical music. I think that's a bit ignorant, because I think that all the great producers, Quincy Jones, who was just here, I mean, Quincy Jones, he did Michael Jackson. He's doing Arabian music now, but he did a lot of classical music, a lot of jazz. I mean, he understands music. He's a master. So if that's a goal for me. That might not be the goal for every artist out there or every producer out there. So I can only speak for myself. But I don't think people should hate on music, because I'm a music lover. You know, I'm a lover of ethnic music, tribal music. So I like to see people embracing different styles. I think it just increases the facility. It's technique. It's a type of technique. I don't mean physically, well, somewhat physically, but like singing-wise, it definitely helped. There are great schools of singing that are based in classical tradition. Classical has a rich history of education in music history, in music theory, different ways of analyzing harmony, chords, chord progressions, chord structures, like things like that. When I say it increases your facility to be a performer or a composer, I mean, because it gives you a richer understanding of harmony, music theory, which are the notes, regardless of what style you're in. That theory doesn't change. It's specialize in kicking ass. No. I have kind of mentored artists in the past, but not long enough. And I've never signed an artist. Because I'm an artist myself, I know that what criteria would be required for that type of a relationship to work. And I think the criteria would include this person's got a lot of talent but not a lot of know-how. You know, the experience that he lacks or she lacks is something that I can give them and make them go from 0 to 60, get up to speed in a shorter amount of time than it would have taken if they didn't know me. That's the criteria that would be required for me to want to sign an artist. But that's also one of the prerequisites. That person, I have to think that person has the potential to go to 60, has the potential to go to full speed. So that's also, I haven't seen that many people. Well, I did this exact same event last year, Music Changes Lives, and it's great to be able to have this type of a relationship, to be able to come back, same venue, same sponsor, but different kids, new batch of kids, and see what the new talent or what new ideas kids are coming up with. So I hope we can keep doing this. I think it's really nice to be able to do something at such a grassroots level. But I have dreams for Chinese music, really. I mean, I have hopes. When I say to become a musical master, that's like being a Gong Fu master. A Gong Fu master will learn different styles. Greater goal is just being part of the Chinese music community and helping it in some way, contributing to it in some way to bring it to the rest of the world. I think that this is something that we're seeing more and more of, but we really have to step our game up. I mean, when I see things like the K-pop 2 days ago in Singapore, it was 2 days ago, right? Different record companies, artists from different record companies coming together, doing their awards in Singapore. I was like, why don't Chinese artists do that? And why are they always pitting themselves against each other instead of working together and taking their music around the world? And that's something that I want to see happen, especially because I grew up in the States. So when I was a kid, like, there was nothing about Chinese music or Chinese movies or magazines or news. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know where Taiwan was. I didn't know the difference between Taiwan and Thailand, right? So I think because I grew up in New York and I grew up in the States, I know how little the States, back then at least, knew about Asia. And I hope, other than Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, that we can, through our music, have some more meaningful cultural exchange. I love it. I love it. It's I think it's the way it should be. People are, whenever anybody has a good idea or a good gig or a good shtick or a good performance, the rest of the world gets to see it, and it influences the speed that this stuff influences the guy next door who's also working on this stuff is almost instantaneous. It's incredible. So I hope that doesn't stop. I hope it doesn't get regulated.